Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany. I'm a senior at Emory and I'm studying biological anthropology and East Asian studies. Today I'm going to be presenting on Achillea millefolium, just commonly known as the yarrow. The yarrow has a very long history of use. The first name has an interesting backstory, supposedly derived from the Greek mythology of when the hero Achilles used the plant to treat the wounds of his soldiers. So from that story, you can probably guess that this plant has a lot of wound healing abilities, and it has a variety of other common names, such as bloodwort or soldier's rumwort. It's all listed here. The plant grows on a lot of temperate regions around the world in North America, Europe, and Asia. And it was first, the oldest point that we've discovered it being used is with a Neanderthal burial. That's over 60,000 years ago. So this is an overview of the topics that I'm going to cover. So first, the botanical descriptions. On the left, we have an illustration of the different parts of the yarrow. So the yarrow is a perennial. It usually grows about 30 to 60 centimeters in height, and leaves are about up to 20 centimeters in length and 6 centimeters in width. The leaves are in a fern-like pattern. It kind of has a feathery texture, and on the stems there's little tiny hairs that cover it, so it's very soft and fuzzy. The second part of the name, millefolium, is a reference to how the leaves look like there's thousands of them growing on it. The flowers are white, pink, or red, and they usually bloom from May to October. And when you crush the flowers, it has a very fragrant and peppery smell, so that has another name that goes with the plant called old man's pepper. And there's a lot of genotypic diversity within the yarrow, so some of the flowers have different colors. There's another species that blooms yellow and orange, but it's separate from this. For traditional uses, the yarrow has seen, because of its distribution, a lot of different uses in a lot of different countries. And a lot of cultures consider yarrow to have special magical properties. For example, in East Anglia, we have the example of yarrow being used as a way to tell if someone is romantically interested in you. Supposedly, you're supposed to put the yarrow in your nose, and then you're supposed to chant, "Yarrow, yarrow, hear a white blow. If my love me, my nose will bleed now." And so maybe you want to try that out. In China, the stems of the yarrow are cut and dried, and it's used to make the divination sticks that people can toss. And Native Americans would burn yarrow to make ritual smoke during different traditional celebrations. And in terms of consumption, in Sweden, yarrow is known as field hop, so sometimes it would be added to alcoholic beverages, like beer especially. But in America, it's limited only to alcoholic beverages because there is a monoterpene called thujone that should not exceed 0.5 milligrams per kilogram in terms of health safety. Okay, and then on to traditional uses for medical. The yarrow can be either boiled as a tea, or it can be applied topically to treat skin problems. Mostly when it's ingested, the yarrow is used to treat internal blood-related illnesses or gastrointestinal problems such as cramping, digestion problems, diarrhea, or flatulence. It can also be used as a diuretic. And especially when it's used on top of the skin, just like the mythology claims, you can help close up slow-healing wounds. And in old Anglo-Saxon texts, there's 3 of them. The yarrow is listed as being able to help treat toothache or snake and dog bites. For the Aztecs, the yarrow was used to treat coughs, and especially for Hispanic communities nowadays, it's also called plumajillo, and they use it mostly to treat the gastrointestinal problems. In China, we have the cases of yarrow being used to treat sores, or you can also take it to relax your digestive muscles and to treat menstrual disorders. In India, Ayurvedic medicine Yarrow is used to, it's used as a medicated vapor bath that can help bring down fevers. It's also powdered and it can be drank as a tonic. And then we have a lot of other examples. For example, in Russia, Yarrow is given to nursing mothers to help increase milk production. And it's also used to treat hypertension or kidney and gallstones. And we see in Germany, Yarrow is used to treat a lot of psychological disorders such as mood swings or depression. And there's also an example of it being given as a hypnotic to help with post-surgery recovery. And lastly, among the Native Americans, especially the Iroquois people in upstate New York, Yarrow was considered a panacea. There was just a gigantic list of what it could have been used for. It was considered, out of the 450 species that they used medically, one of the 4 most powerful medicinal herbs. Chemistry and pharmacology. So the essential oils of the yarrow is characterized by a high number of monoterpenes. The takeaway point from this is that most of the research on it has been done very recently. As recent as 2006, 2 terpenoids were isolated, and the first flavonoids weren't isolated until 1961. There's a lot of examples of different biological activities from the yarrow. First, the anti-inflammatory activities, as well as the antipyretic. The azulene and sesquiterpene lactones and the volatile oils are mostly involved for the anti-inflammatory properties. It also has some salicylic acid derivatives that are local analgesias. In terms of antimicrobial activities, it's demonstrated against all these different types of bacteria, as well as 2 different types of fungi. But mostly it has to be extracted with methanol. The aqueous extracts have not demonstrated the same activities. For the gastrointestinal properties, when yarrow was used to treat ulcers in mice, it's shown to help heal those ulcers. And when it was applied to spontaneously beating guinea pig arterial tissue, it's shown to have cardiosuppressant and vasodilator properties. Some literature has claimed that yarrow has skin rejuvenating properties because of high antioxidants. The data isn't very specific. Usually it says something about like a 2% improvement in wrinkles, so you can take that as you will if that's actually considered an improvement. And tumor inhibitory activities, 2 compounds, the casticin and politin, are mostly involved for that, and it's shown to have good activities against leukemia. In terms of clinical studies, just like I said before, the research on yarrow has been relatively recent, so there hasn't been a lot of human trials. I have found 2 examples in the literature. One was conducted on kidney disease with increased plasma nitrate oxide. Another study that was separate conducted in Iran against this very common skin infection called acute cutaneous leishmania. Both of these studies did not find any significant improvement with the treatment of yarrow, but once again, probably more could be done for human trials. Contraindications. So yarrow is considered a weed, and usually it's not poisonous to humans. As you've seen before, there's a lot of health benefits. As for livestock and for animals, there's one example of a calf that ate yarrow by accident and died, so it's usually suggested that you should avoid it for livestock feed. In another test, there was anti-spermogenic effects in mice. Usually yarrow is antipyretic, but it's been listed that for very high fevers, it can cause a temporary increase in the temperature, so probably should not take it for certain, when your fever is over in certain degrees. And because of the muscle relaxant properties, it might be better to avoid for pregnant women, so you don't accidentally cause a miscarriage. And some people who applied the yarrow topically during the test have reported allergies. Allopathic and chemotherapies. So most of the yarrow that's being sold by now are these herbal supplements that come in tablets, or they also come in droppers. There hasn't been any major pharmacological production of yarrow so far. However, I did find that Yale is currently working on that. That picture over there on the right is from their website, and they claim that they're trying to develop some drugs from their research in their labs from this plant. And so in conclusion, Yarrow has a long history of medicinal use in many different cultures around the world. And because of its wide distribution, like we talked about with chemical ecology, there's a lot of variation in how this plant can be used to treat different illnesses. There's a lot of highly bioactive chemicals, but not a lot of human trials. So I believe that Yarrow has a huge potential for future drug discovery. Thank you.